On the beach near here, where the ghost is Sandy, hear them curse and softly swear, steal and drink the brandy. Roll them up the beach with care, and keep your pistols handy. On the beach near here, where the ghost is Sandy.
We've been learning about the history around Hale, and apparently there was King Tudor's castle up around here. Do you know anything about this?
Well, I know a little bit about it. It's a lot of legends about King Tudor, who was a local Celtic chief. And he didn't want Christian people here. And round about 500 and something, the Celtic saints from Ireland and some from Wales would come across to spread the news of Jesus Christ into Cornwall. There was somebody called Gwynia, whose father was a king in Ireland. I mean, they're all kings and chiefs and things like this in those days, and princesses. And his Gwinia's sister, Piala, landed on the beach just below the church here. And they must have been here for a little while, I think, to spread their ideas, and perhaps they found other Christian people here. But anyway, King Tudor was so angry, he came down and chopped their heads off. And Piala, this was her place in Fillac, and we often remember her in the dedication now. Piala's brother, Gwynia, after his martyrdom, picked up his head, put it under his arm, and carried it off to Gwynia, which, you know, is inland a few miles where the village is.
When the three Taylor children were adult, they needed to earn a living and they needed a house to live in, so they had the bluff built for them. Well, the three of them lived there for several years, but one of them didn't marry, and she is supposed to haunt the place, so my grandmother says. Now, I just took it all with a pinch of salt until recently, when this person comes in to do my nails, and she was talking about her brother who worked over there at night, and he did the cleaning. So he was there about 12 o'clock till about 3 o'clock in the morning. One night he put all the chairs up on the tables and went out to get the cleaner, and when he came back they were all down again. So he didn't take too much notice of that, and he thought, I must have forgotten that, to put them up. So the next night he came into her and he opened the door of this big room, and she was sitting on the table. This little old lady was sitting on the table laughing.
So that must have
She
been...
actually saw her, yes,
Yeah,
yes. The ghost, he actually saw her, yes. And he didn't know anything about it, but that did frighten him. So he went to his boss, and his boss said, oh, he said, I suppose you've seen the ghost. And he said, yes. And he said, the boss said, I can't keep staff because they're terrified. But he wasn't terrified, he decided to stay on.
Oh.
So she's still over there, but, you know, he's not frightened of her or anything. Yeah.
Don't go into it.
Well, that's so you can get good shots.
Interesting.
I need to zoom in.
Very interesting.
And they could actually land the boat in the tunnel, right? So when the tide goes out, nobody can get to them. Yeah. And apparently behind that tunnel, there's a narrow passageway. Well, the reason for that is that if the excisemen did actually sort of get to them, then they could hide behind in the back of this passageway, and as they came through, and then escape.
Can you see it's cut across for you?
No, it goes round the corner.
Well, they say the bucket of blood is called a bucket of blood because somebody murdered his wife and buried her in the well. And somebody went there to get some water and pot of and they named that a bucket of blood.
What is the story behind the bucket of blood?
Legend has it that the well out the back, which is no longer there, And the landlord went out one day to draw water, and instead of water, blood came up. When they looked down the well, there's a mutilated body down the well. The well is now covered areas where the ladies' toilets are. Had to be capped over to make those toilets.
You're here with HYP, showing you where the well is meant to be. Obviously, over time, it's been capped by this lovely floor, but this is where it was.
We had the Paranormal Society come in for an evening, and they found quite a few ghosts. An old man in there, there's 2 young girls, big black dog out the back, a chap in my cellar that told him he didn't die of natural causes, and I had 2 or 3 more in the kitchen, but I've never seen a ghost, and I go looking for them.
I was running towards the front door. I opened the door from the kitchen. I was sprinting across the front room, and I looked at this chair, and sitting in this chair was Aunt Millie, right? And I mean, what do you say? You know, how are you? She's dead, for Pete's sake. How do you think she is? You know, so, oh, I'm fine, thanks. You know, death is great. You know, and I'm thinking, and I sort of closed my eyes. I opened them again and looked in the chair, and she was definitely sitting in that chair as plainly as I'm looking at you guys now. Right. Now, I was just looking at her, and she was looking back at me. And I tried to talk to her, but I couldn't say anything. I mean, what do you say? You know, and I sort of went, and she looked at me, she smiled, and she went, and then she just disappeared. She just faded away, disappeared.
Travasic was a place where Erasmus Pascoe lived. He was Sheriff of Cornwall. For some reason or other, he baptised his dogs at Fillock Holy Well. He thought that he could cure them of the mange, which caused rumpus, I suppose, and a curse was placed on his grave. And that's supposed to be the one of Piala, who was the sort of patron saint of Fillock. Had a special service there. We also had a special service at the grave of Erasmus Pascoe to lift any curse which he might have had.
You hear the custom men are coming, hide the barrels safely here. The smugglers are hiding on the beach near here, where the coast is sandy. Sandy, on the beach near here, where the coast is sandy. What is that? Can you hear the custom men are coming, hide the barrels safely here. The smugglers are hiding on the beach near here, where the coast is sandy.